So what we're going to do is cover gapping out or spacing out. Now, during meditation and during meditation practice, apart from the monkey mind, apart from internal dialogue, and apart from your mind kind of feeling issues inside your body or being distracted by noises and other things happening outside of the room or around you, one of the problems meditators have is the fact that they lose focus and they lose concentration, and that they just kind of almost, their mind just disappears into nothing. And some people think that's the point of meditation, just to go into nothingness. But that's a bit different to gapping out. So finding a space where you're in complete stillness and you found something that people call flow state, where you're in a state of not kind of acknowledging time and space, and then suddenly find yourself having completed a task. And people have done that in all kinds of places, whether you're working on something and then find yourself 3 hours later having done it, not knowing where the 3 hours have been, or if you're doing sporting activity and you get really involved, or something physical, and before you know it, you've completed it in absolute perfection and you don't even know how you did it. So that's kind of, let's say, a flow state, or what we'd call a flow state in current psychology. And gapping out is almost the antithesis of that. It's where you kind of lose focus, you completely lose task, and you kind of like disappear and almost have your mind frozen into doing nothing. It's not active, it's not in any kind of natural state of being. It just kind of like almost freezes and then comes back again. So spacing out is a real problem, excuse me, for meditators. So one of the things you need to do is know when you're spacing out. So we've already covered what it's like for the monkey mind, and that's a very busy mind. And we've already covered what it's like when you get distracted and have an internal dialogue with yourself. So those are two very busy things. This is something else where your mind just freezes. And you may or may not notice it. Again, it's like the other two things where you need to practice an awful lot before you start recognizing that it's happening to you. An awful lot of time people think they're meditating absolutely perfectly. They come out 5-10 minutes and think, oh, well, I didn't have any monkey mind issues or any internal dialogue, and I definitely didn't gap out. And then the more and more you meditate, the more and more you recognize actually you were doing all of those things, and probably the vast majority of the time. And then you kind of go through a phase of practicing lots and lots and lots, and you come back around and you find that you're doing it all a little bit less. So kind of recognizing that you have those issues is the first step onto having a much better meditation practice. So gapping out, like I said, is when your mind just kind of has a brain freeze. You kind of like just stop, don't think of anything, and then you come back to task. So if I was sitting there and I was meditating, everything's fine, and what I'm doing, let's say I'm doing the whole scanning thing, where all I'm doing is feeling my body. And then I kind of get to this level, then I recognize that my mind has jumped to something that happened yesterday. And then I just let go of that and let those thoughts dwindle, and I focus on what's happening on the body. And then I start having an internal dialogue with myself about something that I think I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And then I recognize I'm doing that and I let go of that. And then I bring myself back to task and I go here. And then wherever it may be, there's a place in which my mind just freezes. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not focusing on task. I'm not scanning to see what's happening. I'm not sure if I'm having an internal dialogue or monkey mind. And I just kind of freeze. I'm not on task. I just gap out. I just space out. So once that happens, that can happen for a few seconds, maybe a split second, and then I come back. And then I kind of feel quite discombobulated. I don't know where I was for a second, and then I come back. But often people don't recognise that's happening. So you've got to learn to know that it's there and know when it's happening. And just as before, don't get involved with it. Don't get upset with yourself. Just know that's happening and kind of just come back to task. So a really easy way to kind of like recognise that it's happening is just basically, you can do it with your eyes open, you can do it with your eyes closed. It's just basically from here to here, feel a line that goes straight down. Remember, we don't use imagery in this type of meditation, so we're not imagining a line. All we can do is feel a line. If you want, you can just draw your finger across your body through the middle, and you'll feel where you need to be. And all you have to do is very slowly spend a minute. If you want to put a timer on, spend a minute kind of feeling all the way down here. And what you'll find is along that straight line, there will be places in which you don't feel anything. And there'll be places in which your attention just gaps out, it just spaces out. There'll be places in which you have the monkey mind issues and the distraction and internal dialogue issues. So kind of recognize that's happening as you feel your body all the way down, or bring your awareness from here just down to your belly button. You just spend a minute there, and you can do it with your eyes closed, and you just feel going down there. Now, it might take you a few goes, it might take you a few sessions, but you'll suddenly start to recognize that you are gapping out at some place in time. And then, as with anything else, with more and more practice, that will start to diminish and eventually disappear. So give it a go and see how you feel.